Staying in contact. I'm London Mitchell. Regular listeners know we have spent a lot of time discussing scams online, over the phone, in the mail, and personally, I have worked hard to be careful not to be a victim of a scam or a computer virus. But as careful as I thought I was, I got hacked. Not only personally embarrassing, but it could have been a real financial hit. Fortunately, I was able to spot the fraud early and, together with my bank, alleviate the threat. So, I turned to Lane Montz, president of the local Better Business Bureau, for a reminder that the scammers and the fraudsters are very crafty. And even though we think we are being smart, the bad guys could be smarter.
Yeah, the scams are just as sophisticated, maybe more so than a lot of legitimate marketing campaigns. They are pretty powerful at using the element of story and human psychology to get you to click something or give some information up or some money up. So you shouldn't feel too bad because I've come close a couple times myself. That's true. So are you willing to share some? I don't want you to share all the gory details, but are you willing to share some of the basics of just like, did they contact you by text, by email? How did it begin? Because I think we'll be able to see the warning signs there. I'll be able to grab those and point those out when you tell me the story
I
here.
checked my online banking and noticed that money had been siphoned from my account. My bank said an account had been established under my name at an online-only bank, and then the process had begun to transfer money from my account into that bogus online account.
How was it that somebody was able to create an account without ID? I mean, I know you don't want to say who the second bank was, but what was their explanation
It's
for
an
how that
online
happened?
bank only,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
somewhere my information, my personal information, must be out on the dark web somewhere.
Yeah, that is scary because that's probably the worst kind of situation and one you shouldn't feel badly about at all because it all happened outside of you taking the bait. You didn't really take the bait. There was no bait. It happened behind the scenes through information gathering from data breaches or from other clever stuff. I still am surprised that the second bank let it, let it happen. And had your original True Bank, London, had they begun to process the transfer out? Had they
Oh
started
yeah,
that?
yes, they had. Somewhere in the past, I must have been duped, and my personal information got out there somewhere at some point in time. And that's why I feel like I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was being very vigilant, but I must have messed up somewhere along the line.
I'm not sure that's true. There is information that we have out there, London, that when big companies have a data breach, that's when they talk about your information may have been compromised. That's what they're talking about. They just get enough personal information to connect it to create a bank account and begin the transfer. So, I don't know if everybody realizes this, but when you write a check, when you write a physical check, your account number and your routing number are on that check. And if there's a copy of that check out there in the world being stored somewhere, which there are, this is why I try not to use paper checks anymore. But if it's out there and then somebody has a data breach, then they get an image of that check and it shows your bank account routing number and your bank account number. And from there, they can begin to create the protocol to transfer money out of that account to another bank. So I'm not so sure you should feel too badly because I just think this is good business, a good, not good in the moral sense, but effective business marketing on the scammer's behalf. The thing is this is the biggest lesson. You can't control that. We cannot control those data breaches and what people do with that information. The only thing we can do, and I teach risk management at Bowling Green. I teach risk management, and one of the tactics for risk management is if it's a risk you can't completely avoid, then you have to manage it. You have to manage it and mitigate it. And so by checking your account and paying attention, you actually did mitigate that situation. And it is no longer possible or advisable for people to have a bank account and not check that. You probably should download your bank's app so you can look at it on your phone when you're sitting somewhere and you're stalled with time and there's nothing to do. That's a good time to check and make sure that there are no suspicious recent activities, because they can happen. I actually think you might not feel this way, but you might deserve a pat on the back for being vigilant. Uh, that is my take on your situation.
Well, thank you. Now, I spent the next couple of days changing all my passwords,
Oh,
putting
yes.
a freeze on my credit bureau accounts, uh, realigning my bank to close all existing accounts, open brand new ones.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
The bank would definitely want you to do that anyway, because they're actually the ones on the risk. If they transfer money out of your account, it's really on them. If you didn't do it, if it was a fraud, they're the ones that really legally bear the responsibility not to send money out unless you, the account holder, have truly authorized it. So they're probably happy about that. There's a program called Positive Pay, London. Positive Pay, most banks have it. And if you set up Positive Pay, then what you are doing is you're telling the bank not to process any transactions unless you have a second chance to approve them. And every day you will get a list of transactions that you have to approve. So when you write a check, when you do an ACH transfer, when you have the electric company pull the money out of your bank account automatically to pay your utility bill, still that would then end up in your Positive Pay queue, and you would have to go ahead and independently approve those a second time within the bank's technology platform. And if you don't do that by a certain deadline each day, they will not process that account. And so what it does is it lets you lay a second set of eyes on every transaction. Now, it doesn't really work with debit card transactions, but every other kind of bank transaction. We use it here at the BBB, London, because about 3 years ago, we had somebody take money out of our account, just like it happened to you, just like it happened to you. And we were on it. Our accountant caught it. We told the bank. They sent us the money back. And they said, we really want you to do Positive Pay to give you the last clear chance to deny a transaction. And after that, we caught 2 more attempts. They were small dollar attempts, but we caught 2 more attempts. We did not approve those transactions. And then, so nobody got the money. But so there is something that can be done. It takes effort. It takes effort.
And we really should become a little more patient and take those efforts. Another thing I did, and it took me an entire day, is I reset my computer. In other words, reloaded
Oh,
Windows just in
my.
case there was a virus in my computer,
Yeah, some
and then
spyware or
spent the
some
day
malware.
resetting everything. But
Yeah, if you're not comfortable doing that, then you should get help from an IT professional, because, you're right, you do need to scrub the memory banks, as Star Trek used to say. You need to scrub the memory banks because there could be some spyware or some malware in there and waiting, like percolating and waiting to come to life again and try to take more of your money. So that, I think you did a lot of good things there. That's one of the worst kinds of scams, because it's not like you really could have stopped it. It's just you only could have caught it, and luckily you did.
well, you're making me feel better about myself than I was. Vigilance, scrubbing, and being even more vigilant. Those are the key steps. What are the clues that might alert us that something is going on? There's some mischief.
Also, in your case, there really wouldn't be good clues until you looked at your bank statement online, because if you wait for the paper statement, it's too late. So by checking online or through your phone through the bank's app, eternal vigilance is going to be one of the things you have to do. So obviously, if you see a transaction that you don't remember, you can also set limits on transactions with your bank. You can use positive pay if the bank offers that feature to consumer bankers. Otherwise, just never click on a link that comes to you through an email or a text that you weren't already expecting. And if you get one of those suggesting that you click a link, suggesting that you do something, then do not respond the way that you got the message. If it looks like it comes from somebody you know or a boss, then don't respond to the link you get on the phone. Don't respond to the email in the computer. Call them separately and say, did you send me this? Is this real? And that's probably the most effective way you can stop these things. But whatever you do, don't click the link. Don't send money to someone that you weren't already expecting to have to send money to.
The Better Business Bureau, Lane, has a lot of information online. How do people access that?
So bbb.org. bbb.org is the main way. And we have a companion charity called the Institute for Marketplace Trust. And I think you're going to see the Institute taking on a bigger and bigger role over the next couple of years. I think a lot of the roles that traditionally were performed by the Better Business Bureau will be moved to some extent to the Institute for Marketplace Trust, and they will become an even bigger force. And I'm going to look that website up because I don't remember it offhand, and I know you're going to ask me for it, so I'm going to look for that while we're talking. But I think you're going to see that. I also think the BBB system is encouraging consumers to set up a BBB profile. And this is relatively new, London. So more and more, the way that people engage with the BBB will be by having a consumer account. Of course, it's free. But if you want to file a complaint or post reviews or get information, you'll be able to do that through your account. I believe that will also allow the BBB system nationally to put out national scam alerts, national scam bulletins, not just through the local BBBs, but through national platforms like a national texting program and a national email program. I would encourage people to go to bbb.org and set up a consumer account. I think that is going to be very important. Now, the website for the Institute for Marketplace Trust is bbbmarketplacetrust.org. So you've got bbb.org and bbbmarketplacetrust.org, and you will be able to interact with the BBB scam tracker system by going to the Institute's website. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a shift from the BBB system as our technology improves and we want to reach more of the American public quicker. And so I get on the news a lot. I do podcasts with you. I love my time doing that. But you're going to see that we are going to have to adopt some more modern technology to be able to alert people quicker and not just wait for the time that I'm talking to you or on TV or radio or something. I'm excited about those changes, but bbb.org and bbbmarketplacetrust.org, both would be great sources of information for people to learn and be protected.
Lane Montz, thanks for being with us, and thanks for reminding us to be very, very careful.
I'm glad you caught your situation, and I guess you don't want to go through it again, but it was a pretty good trigger for an episode on your podcast, right? It's a good topic. Maybe not one that you want to repeat.
Lane Montz is the president of the Better Business Bureau serving Northwest Ohio. I'm London Mitchell. Contact me through my website, londonmitchell.news, and please accept this invitation to join us again next week, Staying in Contact.
Previous installments of Staying in Contact with London Mitchell are available on the Stream 419 app, Spotify, and londonmitchell.news.